What's up, YouTube? Extra time for May 20th, 2019. History made in Major League Soccer. Landon Donovan at the top of the goal scoring. No, it is Chris Wondolowski. 4 goals in 1 game. He's up to 148. How should he celebrate, Charlie?
If I'm Chris Wondolowski, I'm going to every game with a crown on my head. Every game.
Custom made, baby.
The
Custom
king
made.
is here. It took him 6 years just to get his starting spot in MLS, and now he's the greatest goal scorer of all time.
And now our Wondo watch has ended.
Yes, it has. No Game of Thrones takes on this show, but maybe a couple. Extra time starts now. Oh, from New York, you are listening to Extra Time, driven by Continental from the AT&T MLS studios in Midtown Manhattan. I'm Andrew Wiebe with my partners in soccer, Charlie Davies, David Goss, Matt Doyle. It's the starting lineup, boys, because Kalen Carr is... he can't be bothered.
MIA.
Actually, he's in Portugal enjoying the sunshine, so congratulations to him. But still firing off congratulatory tweets to one Chris Wondolowski, who is the new MLS goal king. We have a big show for you today, but nothing is more important than that. Wondo, after 6 months of chasing, 6 months of being 1 goal behind, is at 148. That's because he exploded for 4 goals against the Chicago Fire.
You're going to do it. You might as well do it.
Yeah. Go for it.
Go big. Four big or go home.
Yeah.
4 touches.
And there's only 4 touches of the game.
Yeah, the way that Wondo does it. We're going to talk to Wondo in just a second. That's our AT&T call to the field on this show. Week 12, winners, losers, everything you need to know from Major League Soccer this weekend. The provisional rosters are out for the Gold Cup. You can check those out at CONCACAF.com. We're going to talk the U.S., we're going to talk Canada, and once they start getting pared down, we'll start talking everybody else because there's a ton of MLS involvement in this one. And then, of course, we have the mailbag, and we have 2 jerseys to give away. The black trash bag of swag is here. It is waiting. Yes. We don't know what's in there.
What's the occasion for you actually remembering this week?
It's
Is
about
there me remembering?
Yeah,
Okay.
it actually lines up with me remembering to set my fantasy lineup.
Oh.
So, in a rite of passage, the last 2 weeks, I have forgotten to set my fantasy lineup.
So not only
and we
does your
haven't done it.
fantasy team suffer, everyone
Exactly.
in our audience suffers.
What do we have
So
in the
that's very
mailbag?
selfish of you.
Anything good in the mailbag that we can tease?
we got a little good Wondo stuff. We've got some FC Dallas talk. We've got people complaining about the things we choose to talk about more than once from more than one side in 8 different angles.
Gotcha. Let's start with Wondo.
That one's from me.
Yeah.
No, it's actually not.
Thank you.
Can we just say congratulations? This guy is a Disney story. Chris Wondolowski, 148 goals in Major League Soccer. He barely played for his first 5 seasons. I think he had 7 goals. He didn't hit 1,000 minutes until his 5th season. I mean, he's pushing like mid-prime Chris Wondolowski, and he hasn't really done anything in Major League Soccer yet. And then 2010 hits. 2011 hits, 2012 he's the MVP, and the Goonies arrive, and he just scores double-digit goals from now until forever, and now he has 4, because all 4 of these goals against Chicago Fire were his first of the season. This is a historic moment for Major League Soccer. Doyle, you know the history probably better than any of us.
You're our maester.
Yeah, you're the maester here. Write us a history of Chris Wondolowski.
He represents a lot of the things that we forget to look for in players, because he's not the biggest, strongest, fastest, or quickest, but his engine is always on. He's always up for it. You know, like he has that mentality where game after game after game, he's going to go out there, and whether it's coming off the bench, whether it's starting, whether it's playing on the right wing. People forget this. In 2010, he won the Golden Boot while playing kind of as a right winger. Whether it's playing as a second forward off of guys like Lennart and Alan Gordon, or whether it's leading the line like he did this weekend, Wanda's out there, and he's going to work his rear end off. And I believe that the ability to work hard is a skill. That is a skill that not everyone has, and he has that. And then beyond that, Wando's a better athlete than people give him credit for. And the not fast, not quick, not big, not strong stuff still applies. But how many times have you ever seen him get sort of wrong-footed by a bounce? It doesn't happen a lot because he's so balanced. He never, like, his momentum never gets away from him, and he has scored so many goals in his career on simple finishes that aren't actually that simple because his feet are so soft and so quiet, and he's able to just put the ball in the back of the net. It's nice to see him get rewarded because he's earned it. Every step of the way, he's absolutely earned it.
146 is basically Wondo doing a lot of what you're talking about, which is ball goes to the goalkeeper. David Osted catches that 999 times out of 1,000. The other time that he drops it, nobody's there, and it's no big deal. He picks it up, and nobody remembers it. In this case, Wondo's standing right there. He's ready. He pokes a foot out, and he scores a goal. It was the perfect way for him to do this. It's not about a 40-yard laser beam. It's not about a solo run, Charlie. Take me behind the scenes as a professional goal scorer. When you look at Chris Wondolowski, what he's done, Doyle says balance, all these kind of intangibles. What do you see?
He has the ability to make a defender think he's going to move one way or go another, and then all of a sudden sharply change direction, get in front of a defender, get near post, which a lot of forwards don't necessarily do. He does it to perfection. And then the technique of just always putting his shot on goal. You can't score if you're not hitting the goal. So regardless of if he's getting a rebound, finishing a rebound, whether he's getting a loose ball, every time he shoots, it's on goal. And then he's clinical. So his technique to be able to bend it around the goalie. I've been with him, and you say, all right, let's put it top right corner or put it top left corner. Every single time he can put it top right or top left. So he has the ability to put the ball where he wants to put it. When you look at the little things as far as balance, technique, making eluding a defender, tricking the defender, getting in the defender's mind, and then playing with a passion to make sure that guys want to feed you the ball, guys want to see you succeed. That's Wondo because he's always team first. So when you look in the locker room, who's the guy that's happy to be here, that wants to be around everybody, wants to have a good time? It's Chris Wondolowski. So when he goes on the field, guys are like, get him the ball. We want him to score. And when you see him celebrate, it's always with the team. It's always with passion.
The first thing he does, 9 times out of 10, is point to the guy who just gave him that.
Yeah.
First thing he does.
All right, I want to have the assist to Wondo because you know what?
You're getting that spotlight.
It's a great guy, but he's going to make sure like you got the credit too. It's not just me.
So before we get to Wondo, and we'll talk to him in just 1 second, Dave, where is he sort of in league lore? Like as you look at Wondo and you think about how you might remember him, how you think about him now, where does he fit in MLS history? He's at the top of the goal scoring chart. I don't think that'll change anytime soon.
Yeah, and he should be in the conversation as one of the best performers in Major League Soccer history. Whether he's the best player, the best athlete, the best
would you put
career.
him top 10 all time?
I don't know. But let's start on the day that he set the record.
I just wanted to hear.
He deserves to be in the conversation 100%.
Yep.
And when you talk about what this league means, I think he's a great story because you left college and you went to Europe because you had that talent. Brian McBride could have done that. Eric Winalda did do that. Wondolowski stayed here and worked hard because he wasn't getting, scouted out of Division II college soccer to go play in the Netherlands or wherever.
Give Chico State that shout out.
Yeah, and then he worked and worked and worked and stayed alive and stayed a part of the game, and this league exists, and he's able to create opportunities for himself and end up being the all-time leading goal scorer, which is not something that would have been possible without Major League Soccer. And it's a great story to show all players, like, this is what you can accomplish. I don't know if he's in the top 10. It's a tough conversation to have because then you get into how long do you have to play in Major League Soccer for you to be in that. You look at guys like Almiron, just 2 years, but now how many years is Joseph going to play? Javinko.
My criteria is 3 full seasons in MLS, and you're just basing their performance within MLS, not in Europe, not with national team. The top 10 players of all time in MLS with a minimum of 3 years, and you're only solely basing their performance within MLS in those 3 years.
All right, you guys mull that. Figure it out.
Give me your top 10.
Yeah, figure it out in your head, and we'll get there.
Okay.
But right now, it's time for AT&T Call to the Field. We're chatting with Major League Soccer's new goal king, 148 and counting, Chris Wondolowski. Congrats, Chris. Welcome to Extra Time.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's just get it started, man. 4 one-touch goals to go down in history. The floodgates opened for you. Just take us through the entire night, how you were feeling, how the game progressed, what happened afterwards. This was one of those moments that goes down in MLS history.
Still this moment, it's all kind of like a bit of a blur. I mean, I remember the goals very vividly, the game, but just the lead up, unfortunately, Danny Hudson picked up an injury the day before a game, and so a little bit of a hamstring problem. So, wasn't sure if I was going to get the start until he wasn't able to pass the test prior to the game, so we got the start. And the first goal was just a beautiful pass by Shea Salinas, and I've been able to be on the end of a few of his passes, and been very grateful that he's been my longest tenured teammate, I think, ever. And so it was fun to kind of share that moment with him, and then the rest kind of all kind of blurred. I remember, following up a rebound. Remember Christian Espinoza getting taken down, but the ball just falling to me right there, and then Jackson Ewell putting it on a platter, with a great pass as well. And so just kind of right place, right time.
Wondo, Charlie here. What's going on?
What's up, Charlie? How you doing?
I'm great. Quick question. So you haven't been getting consistent starts this season. You're named to be in the starting 11. Did you wake up in the morning and think, today is the day. Today is my day. I have that feeling that I'm going to step on the field and I'm going to score. Not only am I going to score, I'm going to have a field day, break this record, and do what I do best, score goals.
I love driving in and visualizing, just how the game's going to go. And I really did have a special feeling about it. Even talking to the wife, she says, good luck. Yeah, I think today's the day. And so it was, definitely a lot of confidence. I've been enjoying this year so much, just kind of reinvigorated new passion and, new fire, even though not necessarily getting the minutes I have, but I still actually love this team and love this locker room. And so it was just kind of one of those things where I wanted to do my part. I wanted to be a part of, kind of been able to turn a corner these past 5 games or so, and wanted to do my part. And that was kind of the main idea and visualization coming into it.
Chris, if your wife has any other predictions, we'll throw bets out there.
Mateus Almeida as well.
Let us know.
I've learned to listen to her. She usually knows what she's talking about, evidently.
You said reinvigorated. For a lot of people out there, it looked like maybe pressure because you're sitting on the record, and we see so often in sports, it just starts to build and build. Did you not feel that? Were you not thinking about it week in and week out?
Yeah, I was. I think that for each game, each day, I put on the pressure myself more than anyone can or does. But I think, to be honest, and especially at the end of last year, being close and having 2 games, we're out of the playoffs, I was playing the game for the wrong reason. I was playing to score, not to win, not to do my job, not to, do the little things. And I've definitely found out that throughout my career is that it's almost like a home run derby. When you try to hit home runs, that's when you're not able to do that, and when you go out there and try to put a good swing on it, that's when it kind of tends to happen. And I've learned that for myself is when I start trying to do the little things, fight for balls, fight for position in the box, and keep possession, and playing 1-2 touch, keeping it simple, I find to have myself more chances than not. And so it's I don't know, it's kind of been able to change that a little bit.
Did you come to that realization about the way you were playing yourself? Because I remember Mateus Almeida said to you in preseason, don't think about the record, care about winning more, which didn't make a lot of sense to all of us because scoring goals is kind of what you do to help the team win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it definitely helped. I've absolutely loved what he's done. And like I said, I just kind of think he's kind of reignited his passion. And one of his main messages is go out and enjoy this game. It's a game. You guys are so fortunate that you get to play a game, and it definitely goes by quick, but enjoy every minute of it. And I've kind of, especially someone who has such a great past and such a score past, but also play the game and knows what it's all about. It's it's nice, and I think that it's been able to lean on him and have someone in my corner who knows what I'm kind of going through, and so it's been great to have that, and I really do enjoy what he's done with our team.
Chris, I just want to put it on record. I do not believe Mateus Almeida when he says he predicted this.
No chance. No chance, Chris.
That is way too convenient. Afterwards, then to say he pegged the 4 goals, he did not mention this to you, right? I mean, he's like, the checks and balances here are off.
He did not mention that. I can't vouch for the beginning, but I don't know. The guy does know what he's talking about most of the time, so I wouldn't put it past him, and he does have some crazy predictions sometimes, but I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about the 4 goals.
So I want to know, Chris, how you celebrated this. I'm imagining a lot of different scenarios. None of them is really the cliche kind of bottle popping scenario. You set this record, you're at home, friends and family, you go do what?
Yeah, I'm kind of a lame guy. We were supposed to go up to, I have a cabin in Arnold, which is about 2.5 hours away in the foothills of the Sierras, and we were planning on going since we had an early game. We were planning on going there, and since we have a late practice on Monday, we'd be able to spend a few days up there and hike around at Calaveras Big Trees and things like that. But after all everything happened, it took a while to get out of the locker room, and then I found out I got to go to the Sharks game yesterday, and so I kind of threw it out. And so it actually turned into having DoorDash, delivery sushi at the house. Definitely got to celebrate with some neighbors around, and that was nice for them to come over. Nice, open a good bottle of wine, and that was not too exciting. I'm planning on. We have a long trip, East Coast trip in Toronto and DC, and so I told the team that we all get to celebrate then together. But until then, sorry.
Chris, you're not one who's goes out there and is super flashy, but at this point now you got to start like signing cards. You got to start getting business cards that say like MLS all-time goal scoring leader, right? MLS king.
Show up wearing a crown,
right? Or maybe get a belt,
a cape, something like that.
At least every pregame warm-up, just come out with a crown.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea. I'll see what I can do. That's I actually don't mind that, but yeah, I don't know. I don't look good in hats, though. Me and hats just don't mix.
All right, just sit on a throne.
I'll look in a cave.
Just sit on a throne in the locker room. You're good.
No headwear. No headwear. Landon Donovan, the who's who of U.S. soccer, of North American soccer, came out to congratulate you. Rolodex at this point's got to be pretty deep, given the U.S. national team and all these years in the league. What is the coolest message that you got? And it doesn't have to be the biggest name. It might be the teammate that you didn't think about, or the guy who hit you up out of the blue, or whoever it might be, the family friend. Who was it?
Yeah, I mean, I've been so fortunate. I've actually had a ton of messages, which I'm very grateful for. One that really surprised me is David Beckham put me on his Instagram story and congratulated me, and that's crazy. And having a message from Landon Donovan, I still think that it's crazy that both those guys even know my name and know who I am. I think that's unreal. And one of my favorite messages was recorded from Bobby Burling, Alan Gordon, and Sam Cronin. And so I love to banter and give me a little heck, but it was a lot of fun, and miss those guys. Those are three really good friends, and miss those guys.
Chris, one of the hardest things for most professional athletes is to stay on the field, to stay healthy enough. How have you managed to do that, to put yourself in a great position to break this record and to continue to keep going?
Yeah, I've been very lucky with injuries and not having many, and very fortunate. I love the training staff that we've had. They've kept me healthy, even or kept me on the field even when I'm not always necessarily at my 100%. But I also like to joke with them is that if you don't have, big muscles, or, if you're not fast, you can't pull many muscles. You're not pulling hamstrings if you're not fast. So that's one of the things I like to joke with them about.
Man, I'm not explosive. I'm injured all the time. I got to figure this thing out.
Tough enough.
I know, the Chris Wondolowski
So
method.
staying healthy is a big part of it. Getting on the field in the first place is a big part of it. And your story is really one of perseverance. You didn't become a regular starter till 26, 27 years old. What do you say to younger players, or what would you say to younger players who are in a similar situation? And during that period, was there ever a time where you're like, you know what, this isn't for me, I'm going to hang it up?
There wasn't necessarily that time. You always want to be out there. You always want to be playing. But I was so fortunate to have the locker room, the team that I did, get to coach Houston and win 2 MLS Cups. And, I get to learn from Dwayne De Rosario and Brian Ching and, Stuart Holden's in our locker room and Brian Mullen. And these guys taught me how to be a professional both on and off the field. And, you always think you're ready, but then I'm looking back, I'm like, wow, I was nowhere near ready. And if I had gotten my shot too early, I wasn't ready for it. And I would have, not been able to do what I can and show and might not still be in this league. And it was a perfect storm where I needed a little bit of time to mature both mentally and physically. And it finally happened and was got it at the right time. And, I appreciate the coaching staff and Dominic Kinnear and John Spencer. I think I've learned so much from them those first years. But I also want to thank Frank Gallup for giving me a chance and putting me out there and giving me regular time. And I think that helps a lot as well. Confidence is a funny thing. Once it starts, it can snowball and can be great. But if it isn't working, then it can it can work the other way as well. And so it's a fine line.
You got more time to pad this record at 148 right now. I think Kai Kamara is the closest active player at 119, so he's a ways back. Joseph Martinez is scoring a ton of goals. Now that you have the record, it's about keeping the record. Have you done any scouting? Have you put any thought into who might be chasing you and how long you might own this thing?
Yeah, I think that records are always to be broken, and it will be broken eventually, and exciting to be able to pass the message on to them. I think Joseph Martinez, plays another 3 years in this league. Can do it. He's the way he's scoring and what he's doing is unreal. And the whole Atlanta team is amazing. The way they play the game, and I think play at a fun and fast pace. I would love Kai Kamara to do it because we actually played against each other in Division II. He went to Dominguez Hills, and so we were in the same conference. And so even though he was a freshman and I was a senior, it was pretty cool to do that. I got to play with him in Houston, and our reserve team was pretty stacked. We had a fun reserve team, and so it was to play with him and get to know him. It would be fun to pass it to him.
So you're going to be in all these conversations where people talk about legacy. Wondo, what do you hope your legacy is? What do you think your legacy is?
That's a good question. My hope and my dream is that to be considered as one of the most competitive teammates ever, and a good teammate. Someone that you want to be a teammate with and want to share the locker room with. I think one of a trait that has helped me in many ways is being competitive. And, I can't turn it off even if I'm playing with my daughters playing the game. I still can't let them win right now. It's just something's wrong with them. But I still love it. I still enjoy it. But, I think that's something that I wouldn't mind being labeled as.
Chris, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but on Twitter I put out this interesting question. Who is the greatest American striker of all time? And Landon does not fit into this category. So if you're looking at work as a whole, club and country, who are your top three?
My top three, wow. I'm going Clint then, since if Landon's not available. Clint is number one. Just his body of work, doing it abroad, doing it with the country, doing it for club, doing it in MLS, doing it in English Premier League. He's just amazing, and get to know him and he just has some innate ability to do amazing things and show up in big games, and he always did. And so I have him as number one. I'm also kind of trying to buy time.
Brian
McBride as number two, and then I am again just a fan because I was watching him with the Clash and what he did with the U.S. So I'll go Eric Wynalda.
Eric Wynalda, three. Okay.
Mm-hmm. There's
solid.
The top three.
From the man himself.
Exactly. But there's nobody that has more goals in Major League Soccer than Chris Wondolowski. He stands alone at number one. Wondo, it's been a pleasure to watch you honestly grow up in this league and become the player that you are and the man that you are. It's been a pleasure. Congratulations. Keep it rolling. We'll be watching, okay?
Congrats, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate all you guys do.
A little bit of takeout, sushi, and a bottle of red. That's the Chris Wondolowski celebration method for his new record that I think he'll own for a long time. We said last night, maybe Joseph Martinez. He threw that name out there. Kai Kamara, maybe. But maybe not, man. He could hold this for a long time. And we're talking about top 10 players in MLS history and legacy. I think of Wondo sort of in the category of, I want to say, like the Jason Chrises or the Jeff Cunningham or maybe the Jaime Moreno even, where you almost defined a club and your goals did and you were the crux of that club. No, he doesn't have the championships.
Taylor Twellman?
Yeah, Taylor's because Cunningham moved around like a million times.
Bounced around.
Twellman's like everywhere. Just a Revs legend.
Yeah.
So
But
Yeah, I think that's a
Wondo,
fair one.
more so than like, where's he fit in history? That doesn't really matter. That's all opinion, I think. Wondo is literally a Disney movie. He is, who's going to play Wondo in the like Miracle on Grass story where, the guy goes to Chico State, nobody believes in him, he hangs out and thinks about leaving the game, and all of a sudden he becomes the best goal scorer in that league's history. I mean, that's Wondo, and does it in like an aw shucks way. It's a beautiful
Eddie
story.
Redmond.
It's a beautiful story.
I don't know who that is.
I don't either.
Really?
I just glossed over
the
that.
Danish
He was
girl,
like,
have you seen
Eddie
that?
Redmayne.
Yeah, right?
Uh-huh.
And he
Redmayne.
played what's his name, the scientist in the other movie, Eddie Redmayne.
Eddie
Redmayne.
Redmayne. Yeah, you were close.
You have no idea.
Is he
who
from
that
Les
no
Mis?
idea. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. We can get somebody
right.
better. We can get somebody better. Let us know what you think. 401-206-0MLS.
Give the part to a Brit.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
that's messed
That's
up.
the key.
That's messed
I would
up.
pay him TAM to do it.
Let's go MLS Week 12. Let's hit our winners. And Dave, you were at Red Bull Arena.
Oh, what?
You saw Tom Barlow, future
Oh, I didn't even
TAM
notice.
player Tom
Future
Barlow.
MLS goals king.
Yes. Beautiful.
Wally's
beautiful kid here.
Warriors.
Lift it up a little bit. People can't
Wally's
see that.
Warriors
Yeah.
right there.
Those are
New York
sweet.
Red Bulls too.
Those are
second
sweet.
best team in Major League Soccer right now.
Yeah, it's Joseph Martinez's birthday.
Yeah, that was cool.
Hector Villalba's out there,
Starting fights.
And then boom. Tom Barlow's the hero. This was a huge result for the Red Bulls. They're a big winner this
So
week.
I went to this game last year in September, regular season. I also went to the playoff games, but in the regular season, and it was one of the fastest Major League Soccer games I've ever been around. Like in the crowd, you could feel the speed, the intensity. And then you sit down for this one, and they both talked about it, but the way Atlanta's played so far this year and the way Red Bulls have been going, I didn't really expect it. And like 25, 30 minutes into the game, I could feel that I was physically on the edge of my seat, like tense. And you looked around and everyone else felt that as well. And it was just like there wasn't a second to breathe out there on the field. And it wasn't the prettiest game, but I texted Bobby and was just like, this game is so... maybe not clean word fast. Like you could feel it in the stadium. Unfortunate then Tim Parker gets a red card, which I think is the correct call. And then
Changed the game.
It changed the game, but credit to Red Bulls that they genuinely believed they were going to win that game from that moment on. And I think there's something to be said about Atlanta where you put Sean Nealis and Amro Tarek at center back and you're thinking to yourself, simply, you got to pass that side to side and start to pull them out and move them. And they never did that for a single moment. But for Red Bulls, this is like the Red Bull 2 thing. This is what they've built. Sean Nealis, a draft pick, has led Red Bulls 2 in minutes this year. So he's able to play when he gets on the field in his first few MLS games. Tom Barlow, draft pick, didn't get signed to an MLS deal. They build him up. He came on for Brian White. He didn't come on for Bradley Wright Phillips. Like this is a team that's missing the 2017, what was last year? 2018.
Yeah.
Defender of the year. They're missing Bradley Wright Phillips, their all-time leading goal scorer. And they just sold Tyler Adams. And they're in 6th. It's not where they want to be in the standings, but they're still getting it done, and it's all with guys who have come through their system to some extent.
They've won 4 out of 5 too. To be fair to Atlanta United, this was their 5th game in 14 days.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all I'm gonna say. 5th game in 14 days,
And they had to fly back from Vancouver.
they've given
Wednesday
up
night.
1 goal in that.
Yeah, I mean, look, the shutout streak is over. The winning streak is over. Tino Villalba, though, looked like he had a lot of energy after the whistle. I mean, he played a full 90, and he's coming for Kamar Lawrence. Did I
Wiebe,
catch you?
do you wear your shirts like that?
Like what?
Just all the way pulled up.
I did.
You did?
Oh yeah.
In a
Show
different-
that quad.
In a different light. In a different
that
light.
It's not all he was showing, Charlie.
Yeah.
No, he had the tattoo, that big lion. But like we talked about it yesterday. For me, the concern was the aggressiveness of Atlanta United. You need to go for it. You're up a man. Put on another attacker. Put on Mario Williams earlier.
Yeah.
Like let him run up there with Joseph Martinez. For me, there wasn't an impetus to go out there and get 3 points especially when you're up a man. Trust me, I've been there in Red Bull Arena. We were up a man in the first half and we lost at Red Bull. It's a difficult place to play, especially if you don't go for it. And I felt like then we didn't go for it. And watching them, Atlanta yesterday, I felt the same way. This was a team that just didn't have it. You could tell they looked tired. They looked a little bit worn out, and they weren't aggressive. And for me, that's the concern. The sub is Breck Shea for Parkhurst. That is the tactical genius that you're going to make as a substitution in a game where you're up a man.
But it shouldn't take tactical genius. You've got P.T. Martinez, the South
that's what I
American
was
player
gonna
there.
say.
You've got Darlington Nagbe. You've got an MLS veteran in Jeff Lorentowicz. You have guys who should know. You want me to stop slapping the table? That's a fair point.
We've been pounding
You have
the table a
guys
lot
who
lately.
should know how to break down a team when you're a man up.
Agreed. But when you see it's not happening,
Yeah.
then put on a striker. Put on an attacking player.
But the thing
Go
is,
3 in the back.
Last year, I mean, they had Miguel last year. But last year, a team with 2 center backs out like this, they probably run. Now, not the Red Bulls, but that's the difference between this year and last year. There was a certain killer instinct that, like, on a split second, they flipped it on. Whereas this year, it feels like building up to it, and sometimes you never get
They
there.
remind me of last year's Sounders in that way in the first half of the season. Everything Seattle did was so slow and so mechanical, building from, like, they never did in one touch preferring to take 4, 5, 6. And so they were always attacking static defenses. If you look at the biggest difference between Atlanta last year and Atlanta this year, obviously they miss Miguel Almiron, but it's like they take so many touches and they take so long to go from the back to the front that they're never attacking a scrambling, panicking defense. They're always going at banks of 4. 4-5-1, 5 in the box. They're always going at something like that.
Structured.
It's really hard to break that down. I don't care how many $15 million players you have. It's really hard to break that down.
We have not given Tom Barlow enough credit for this header, by the way. Tough angle with English. Diving away, jumps up, looks like
did you quote someone in your article like a week or two ago about Tom Barlow and what should happen?
I'm not sure
and blah,
you
blah,
were.
blah.
I think you might have said behind the scenes that you were.
I don't know. It's on record. Go to MLS Soccer.
So now that you saw Tom Barlow
Yeah.
and his performance,
Yeah.
does he jump ahead of Brian White?
No, because White's shown over the last 4 games that he can give you the performance, but I think Barlow might have a higher ceiling, just purely based on athleticism. They said he's the fastest guy in the club, and he's one of the tallest players.
That shocks me.
He does not look like he
Guy can move.
I need to
looks
see
like a
it.
cowboy.
I'm
He didn't look like he had breakaway speed.
That's what they've told me.
I love the celebration.
That it was not a great moment for Brad Guzan, who did not look particularly mobile as a goalkeeper, as he would want to be in that situation. But that header is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Going away from the goal at a sprint, and he angles it back, and it's actually the English on the
to
header
bring it back inside.
that spins the ball.
Guzan
in.
kind of looks like he thinks it's going across the face of goal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which might also be because he couldn't get there anyway. But yeah.
Props to Tom Barlow, the Red Bulls. This was a good game. I wish it would not have gone down to 10v11, but it was, I think you're right, the right call.
One more to throw out, though, is Joseph's breakaway in the first half that he doesn't put away, and Tarek goes to ground and pokes it away. It's just a chance Joseph's going to score last year.
And to add on that, it's the couple of breakaways that PD Martinez had coming out from the midfield. It was 3v2s, 2v1s.
It's this pass that Almiron knew when Joseph was going to cut across the center backs, and they don't have that relationship because he either hits Joseph early, so Joseph is like trying to take it while he beats that center back, or he never makes the pass. And with Almiron and him, you knew around 35, 40 yards from goal, Joseph was going to cut across the center back. He was going to play it in his path, one touch, and in the goal.
Issues for Atlanta, but hey, 5 wins in a row, 5 shutouts, a 1-0 loss at Red Bull Arena is nothing to sneeze at. 148 is how many goals Chris Wondolowski has. 1 is how many wins the Colorado Rapids have. Woo! And they are your winner, Doyle, and more specifically,
Porrick Smith. We have crushed the Rapids GM over the last couple of years, especially heading into 2018, and the team he assembled by overpaying for a lot of those Brits that
and some Kiwis
that David
Come on, lads.
wants to
First ball, second ball, get stuck in.
wants to play Chris Wondolowski in the movie. But like, credit to him for learning from his mistakes. He went out and he drafted well. He got Andre Shinashiki, who just got his second game-winning goal of the season and looks the part of like an energetic young forward who he could bring in off the bench. Went out and actually got an interleague loan for Lalas Abubakar, which is a player acquisition method that is not often used.
Not in vogue.
In MLS. They desperately needed a center back who could do basic center back things. And Lalas Abubakar did that. And the Rapids pitched a shutout at LA. They got their first win of the season. This worst start in MLS history is over for them. And if you look at this team, they're not going anywhere this year. This is a team that's going to struggle to reach 30 points. But they have good young pieces, and these guys are going to get a lot of run, and they're going to set up to be better in 2020, provided that culturally this team can learn from their mistakes, make a good hire, spend those DP slots wisely.
DP slots, we know those are open. That was Porg's big thing when he came on Extra Time. Head coach, that's the immediate hire they got to figure out. I'm going to stick in the Rockies for my winner, Real Salt Lake. 3-0. We do not talk about them enough. Also, I just want to note Sam Johnson runs on Wiebe time. Bobby Warshaw will like that reference because I'm about 20 minutes late to just about everything I do, and apparently so is Sam Johnson. He did not play or did not start this game.
Yeah, he spoke not flatteringly about his.
Give me the ball. Trust me, is
about
basically what he
his
said.
teammates a couple weeks ago, and Mike Pecky had public words for him about that. And then he shows up 20 minutes late, and okay, if you do that for showing up late for a team meeting, you're on the bench, and you better hope that if you're benched in that situation, your team doesn't come out and actually perform better without you, which they did.
So here's the question, though, for Real Salt Lake. Who are they exactly? Because if you go look at their results, it's kind of got a split there. One side is bad teams. They beat those bad teams. Vancouver, Orlando, at Cincy, at Colorado, Toronto on short rest without Josie Altidore and Pozuelo getting a red card. They lose at DC, at LAFC, Dallas, at Seattle, at LA, home to Portland. So what is this team exactly right now? Anybody have a feel for Real Salt Lake, or is that entire feeling of not having a feel
This is the same thing they've been
kind of
the
the
last 3
definition of
years.
it, right?
Yeah.
It's unpredictable. You don't know what RSL you're going to get on any given game day. Some days they look phenomenal when you have Damir Krylak looking like a box-to-box midfielder. Sometimes he looks like a phenomenal striker. You have Savarino sometimes looking like a dynamic winger who's going to, score goals and create goals every single game and among one of the best in the league on some given days. You have Albert Rusnak looking like one of the top playmakers in this league, whether it's free kicks, whether it's dribbling opponents, whether it's his finishes. So some days you get that, and some days you get the RSL that gets beat 5-0.
I would argue that they are predictable in that it depends on the opponent. And that's what, when you look at, and you put out who they played and what, but when you watch this TFC game and you watch them, Rusnak and Krylak look like that against teams that aren't as good as them. So they're almost consistent in that they're a probably 5 or 6 seed in the West right now.
Yeah, but they beat LAFC last year in the playoffs.
Fair, that's fair.
They got shot like 25-2.
But they also have they have players who have high ceilings.
Right.
But they don't hit them consistently. And I'd say at 5 or 6 in the West, they beat the teams below them, and they look really good when they do it, which is part of it, right? Is it's impressive when Bofo comes in and scores a goal like this, cuts in, beats a guy, curls it. You're like, wow, they're capable of this, but they don't do it against the teams above them. And so that's who they are. Like, they're a middle of the road team right now, which isn't a bad thing, but they do have a higher ceiling because of the physical qualities or the technical qualities of the players in the team. They just have not, over the last 3 years, ever put together a system or at least a mentality of being able to do it week in and week out, no matter who they face.
Consistency. Lacking a little bit for also but this weekend, 3-0, you'll take that at home all day. Alejandro Pozuelo, he was among our losers for his double yellow card outburst. Other losers on that front, Johan Quase, who went for it from half field when he could have just wasted time and probably got 3 points for Sporting Kansas City. Instead, Vancouver come back the other way, and Derek Cornelius scores a left-footed banger. Get up there, young man. Center backs doing their thing. And then Kendall Waston, another loser for me, after he body-slammed Lamina Sane and then said afterwards, he ran into me. He tried to take me down. It's like, Kendall, we have the replays, man. In the age of video review, there's no reason to say this.
It was an inexplicable moment.
It was very, very entertaining for me. Before we get out of here and get to a couple other losers from the weekend, Charlie, who is your winner?
My winner is the New England Revolution, and I'll tell you why. Well, one, since they had a coaching change, they've had 4 points, beating San Jose at home and getting a draw on the road at Montreal. More importantly, it's hiring Bruce Arena to be the sporting director and the head coach. Now, when you look at Bruce Arena and his body of work, although it's been a while, LA Galaxy, DC United, he brings championships, a winning mentality, a culture. Now, when you come into the office at New England Revolution, everyone's thinking, wow, we're on to something big. We all have an idea that we want to win an MLS Cup. That's what you get when you get Bruce Arena. It's the importance of everyone understanding we're going for the MLS Cup. That's the goal. And he's going to show us how we get there as a group, as a whole, from everyone in the locker room to everyone in the front office. That's exciting. And then you talk about a new training center coming online and the recruitment tool that'll be. everything around the Revolution, everyone is buzzing about where this franchise is going. And for me, as a former player, it's like, man, what we could have done, had we had this a while ago. But it's exciting. It's exciting times, and it states where the ownership view this club and where they want to take this club, right? It's like, we're going to give you all the funds you need to make sure that we can win an MLS Cup. That's what you want to hear. That's what you want to see. And that's what the Revolution have.
We talked to Bruce Arena.
Charlie was on the show a few weeks ago. Did not sound like that.
No.
And now I'm like, let's go.
Charlie's got a jersey on him.
So to rip it off.
I got a tattoo right here.
If you missed the Bruce Arena interview, go check that out. That's from last Thursday's show. Dave and I talked about kind of, I think, more of the positive side, Doyle. More of the this is a statement of intent. The Revs are making a commitment to change, to invest, to push forward when some people thought that they weren't actively doing that. I think that maybe we glossed over some of the more cynical sides of the Bruce Arena.
So you're turning to me for that.
Put on your Sam Stejskal hat, because you would never be negative.
Yeah. What's the pitfall potentially here? What is and sure, give me if you have positives, give them to me.
I mean, the positives are everything you guys said. Like if I was in the Revs position, I would absolutely hire Bruce Arena. I think it's a no-brainer hire, given what he's done in this league, given that, and Charlie, you've talked about this, the biggest problem with the Revs has been their culture. And the best thing about Bruce Arena is he fixes the culture of the locker room, fixes the culture of the entire club. I think it's a no-brainer hire. I think they had to do it. They were right to do it. There are two questions. Can he win championships if he doesn't have the biggest budget in the league? I mean, that's a huge one, because we know he built the dynasty in DC. We know he built the dynasty in LA. Those teams were awesome. They were playing with more money than anybody else.
I can assure you, budget will not be an issue with Bruce in New England.
Well, if the Revs are suddenly going to start competing with the likes of Atlanta United and Toronto FC, then it really is a new day for that franchise in this league. And I can't wait to see it. I would love to see, give Bruce Arena Carlos Vela or Sebastian Javinko or Miguel Almiron level players. Let's see what happens with that. That would be dope. That's question number one. And okay, I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay.
Question number two is, we've seen the game pass even some of the greatest managers in the world by. We have seen great managers get passed by the sport of soccer, both in this league and in others. And maybe it happened a little bit to Bruce Arena in 2017 in World Cup qualifying. The game in Cuba was a fluke. If you play that game 100 times, the U.S. wins 99 of them. But by just surrendering central midfield and going 1 versus 3 in that situation on the road in a qualifier, it made the margin that much thinner. I worry about that. And I worry that Bruce has every right to hire people he trusts, whether it's Matt Reeves, Pat Noonan, his son Kenny, bring Dave Sarachan back, whatever. But I worry that coaches who have been around a long time and are set in their ways don't get new voices in there to challenge them and to make them think a little bit differently and to make them adjust to the way the game is played now. And the game in MLS is much different than it was in 2016.
And that's a fair point.
Yeah, when he was managing here last.
And you mentioned managers being passed by in this league and around the world. I think in this league we're seeing, because of the salary cap and the small margins between good teams and great teams and better teams and worse teams, especially in a playoff scenario, it's almost more important than what you see at times overseas, where you can just spend and build a roster and it can kind of go out there and play.
It's also not a league where you look around and you can't say sort of what is the identity here. There are a lot of projects that truly do have an identity. Now, it's not universal. There's a lot of clubs that are still figuring it out and not figuring it out. But the best teams have that. So how do you match up against it? Bruce Arena, if he gets the money, we know he has the leadership. We know he can figure out the locker room. We'll see what happens with the Revs. Good to see you happy, though. I like to see you happy, Charlie. I like to see you with that smile on the face.
Smiling Charlie.
Can I throw one little winner in at the end?
Sure.
Portland Timbers did not play this weekend, but they blessed their new log for the season because they haven't played in their stadium yet.
Blessed? Is this like religious or...
I don't
It's
know.
like a sacrament, or
Do they bring a father in there to
Why not?
throw some holy water on it or what?
I don't know, guys. Why don't you get out of my face about this?
Okay, sorry. My
I'm
bad.
just saying the stadium looks epic.
It does.
I saw the pictures from the inside with the little roof. Gonna keep even more noise in.
I'll be
missed
there in
out.
September.
I missed
Oh,
out
yeah?
on the trip, and I'm
Cool.
Jillian Sakovitz got the call from the MLS crew, and I'm still hurting
I'll jump
from
on your flight, so you'll just grab me a ticket. And,
Awesome.
split a room, and we'll just hang out.
done.
Perfect.
Done? Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the two double beds.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No, Queen.
Nice. Keep it close.
Charlie's got me.
Let's quickly run through some losers here. FC Cincinnati are going to be a loser for me. 5-1 defeat to Orlando.
That makes you a
not good. Yeah, that makes you a loser here. But there is some news. I threw him in there. I don't want to just pile on. Johan Deme, I like the fact that he went just black tee on the sideline. That's a statement from him, 29-year-old, keeping it real simple.
I think anyone who goes to Orlando and potentially, let's just say, covers something like the All-Star game should be able to dress exactly as an MLS coach would dress in that scenario.
Very interesting.
It's going to be hot
I
down
mean,
there.
we are sitting here wearing plain T-shirts, so I think we're on the
actually
Johan Deme train.
Wearing an all-star
You
t-shirt.
are from 16. Wow. Also, news out there. Jeff Reuter is reporting The Athletic that they have found a GM from Zwolle in the Eredivisie. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. It's
Gerard
not official yet.
Niekamp. It's not official yet, but it looks like it's heading in that direction. And I guess I'll break a little bit of news here. This is just whispers at this point, not full-on reports. But the name I've heard mentioned for that head coaching job is Philippe Cocu, the former Dutch international. Was at PSV during the same era where Frank de Boer was at Ajax. Just spent a miserable half season with Fenerbahce in Turkey. Currently a free agent of a head coach. This is far from a done deal as far as I can tell, but where there's smoke, there's fire.
And I have to, since you brought up the name, I have to go into my experience with Lee Win,
Who was at PSV, yeah.
during the time that Cocu and Kluivert were there. I got the chance to go and visit him while I was on trial at Ajax when I left Boston College. Shout out to Boston College, BC. But to talk to Lee about seeing Cocu and Kluivert every single day and what these guys bring and how they talk to Lee about, growing as a player, what he needs to work on, the philosophy, how they're just great guys. And I kept saying to Lee, can you believe you're playing with these legends every single day in the locker room? You get to talk. He got to go play blackjack with Kluivert all the time in the casino and poker. Like, this is awesome. So, to see Philip Cocu interested in an MLS job, that is awesome because I know he's obviously played at the highest level, playing World Cups, and he's a philosopher. He thinks about the game and how to make people better. And just his dealings with Lee, I know he'd be a great coach in this league.
Fascinating to see guys like that, if he is hired by FC Cincinnati, get these opportunities and what they make of them. To see Ernie Stewart, that was his background as well. The Dutch league, playing that same sort of technical director role, build the academy, build the system, figure out what your ethos is. If this is indeed the hire, and then Cocu's, it's just it's a petri dish that I want to just sit around for like 3 years and just watch 24/7.
And be aware, again, it's not necessarily done. But
Whispers.
Clearly, they are interested in importing knowledge from the Eredivisie.
It's a good sign, though.
Which I think is a very good sign.
So you went from our maester to our masters of whispers.
Yeah, there you go.
Do we need that?
He's
Should we just send
the whole
three-eyed raven?
council by himself. You could definitely be our one of coin. Look at that.
I don't think so.
Doyle's big spender, huge spender over here.
He's like a mix of Tyrion and I'd say
I drink and I know
probably,
things.
just probably Tyrion. Another loser here for me, Crew SC. Their bad stretch of form continues on. Another loss, this time in Minnesota. Minnesota didn't exactly look convincing in this one, but I think it is time. Ring the bell.
I've said it from the
The
beginning.
Gregg Berhalter era is dead and gone.
It was long gone. Long gone. So now you're at the point where, are you going to lose this locker room?
Yeah.
So it's at the point where guys are getting fed up, getting frustrated, they're not getting results. This is not the team that they envisioned long term when you had Berhalter at the helm. We'll see how things play out because things have to change drastically.
Yeah, and when change comes, it gets rocky a lot of the times. especially when you're not getting the results and you had this previous experience of this is how we play, this is who we are, this is the Columbus Crew, this is what I'm proud to be a part of. Right now, the results aren't matching up. Caleb Porter's got a job to do.
This on the positive side for Crew fans. Normally when Charlie says that on this show, 4 weeks later he comes on super excited because they're spending a bunch of money and building new stuff. So congrats in advance, Crew fans.
Here is an interesting trade, though. David Beckham, just acquired by the Crew, is now going to go effective January 1st, 2020 to Nashville SC. Apparently they were trying to get a 3-way deal done. They were not able to do that. So David Beckham is basically a rental for the Crew, and they get, an international roster spot and like $50K in allocation money. So there's your MLS-y trade that's reported after the deadline that's not actually going to happen until 2020, and, scratch your head, try to figure that one out. Let's keep it rolling here. I want to talk Union very quickly, Doyle, because we had all these questions about where the Union stand in the hierarchy of things, and it got me wondering what your top 5 power ranking is, given that we saw LAFC dominate but not quite get the result against Dallas. Mm-hmm. The Sounders 0-0 with Philly in Philly, just went there to get a result, which is something I don't think we would have said last year,
Sounders
the year before.
Straight up bunker.
Yeah. They conceded. They just basically said, we want to get the point here.
Yeah.
Rotate.
Just go on the road and get a result. Yep. Fight it out.
Your top 5 in MLS right now. Give me your power ranking.
1 is LAFC far and away. I know they just got a 1-1 draw at Dallas, but I don't care. This team is so obviously the best in the league. And then 2, I do think I have to give the edge to the Union. I just think they're deeper and more flexible than the Dynamo, who are the other team right now, who have a real argument.
Sounders aren't there for you.
Sounders are 4th.
Okay.
So the Sounders have been, they're the Sounders. They're deep and they're talented, and they have in Nico Lodero, one of the best and somehow still most underrated players in the league. And Christian Roldan has stepped forward, and they've dealt with injuries and all that. Their underlying numbers aren't as good as I would want to see right now.
Yeah, but you got to think of Rui Diaz when he's fully fit,
That's
and
fair.
Jordan Morris as well.
Well, they're missing Svensson, they're missing Rodriguez, they're missing
Huge
Chad
pieces.
Marshall.
That's fair, and they've had 2 games against LAFC, one of them down to 10 men. So there are some questions about how accurate the underlying numbers are, but I haven't been impressed watching the Sounders. I haven't been impressed by them in about 2 months.
Okay, so LAFC at 1, Union at 2, Dynamo at 3. They beat DC United at 4. You have the Sounders, and at number 5, it's anybody's guess.
5?
It's anybody's guess.
Atlanta United.
Okay.
Yeah?
They lost to the Red Bulls, who I know they haven't been great this year, but the Red Bulls are still, they're coming off a 71-point season. It was at home. It was Atlanta's 5th game in 14 days. They've given up 1 goal in the past month and a half. They've won 6 out of 8.
Yeah, but it was Colorado at home, Orlando at home. I mean, you can only play who you have to play, but
I mean,
that 5th one, there's no team.
They smoked Sporting KC. They smoked Toronto. Okay, the Orlando game was not great.
Also a Sporting KC team that's barely getting a training squad.
Fair. I mean, you beat the team that's in front of you.
It just goes to saying DC would be the other one, but they haven't gotten a good result.
NYCFC.
All the teams that
NYCFC for me.
They're the one that are quietly
watch out.
They've only lost once with Hebert.
See, I wish Bobby, because I'm actually kind of in on NYCFC since they switched to that 3-4-3 and got Hebert into the lineup, and Bobby's not buying it at all.
Bobby will be here on Thursday. Maybe we'll get his opinion on that one. The provisional rosters for the Gold Cup came out today, so all the different nations in the Gold Cup, they're 40-mans. These will all get cut down. In the U.S. case, they're going to get cut down for the opening of training camp on, I think the number right now is on Wednesday. We'll see another cut. Those are the folks that will be in camp. Then there'll be a 23-man roster announced on June 6th, and then it rolls into the tournament after that. We will cover these in depth after that. Doyle, you have a great column at MLSsoccer.com. Just a great website.
No quotes from David Goss in this one.
That
sounds like a loss.
That's a weak spot for you. So go check that one out. Canada has theirs out as well. 18 MLSers in that 40-man squad. Canada coming off 4 wins in the Nations League qualifying with a goal difference of plus 17. Alphonso Davies is a champion in Germany. Now he's going to see if he can lead them at the Gold Cup. Any thoughts on those? Let us know. Let's get to the mailbag. 401-206-0MLS. Extra time at MLSsoccer.com. Shout out to our 2 winners. When I forget my fantasy squad, I forget to give you swag. The first one here from 2 weeks ago is a Colorado Rapid fan, M. Kanwar, Mika RCF. I'm not sure, but
He's a memory card James fan.
Yeah. So reach in here, see what we're giving this lucky Rapids fan who pulled 189.
Boom.
Whoa.
TFC.
Josie.
Is it a Josie
That's
signature?
a Josie one.
Do you know
Yeah.
Josie's signature like that?
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, it's a 17.
I have a jersey.
I was like,
Charlie is secretly a handwriting expert as well.
So,
Charlie's seen Josie sign that credit card bill a couple times.
so there's one.
Also
Then
true.
New York Red Stars Maracone won this week with 177 points. And
Getting
getting
Orlando.
the Orlando City jersey.
Let me see the signature.
I don't think it's signed by anyone.
It's not signed.
Wiebe.
It's a beautiful purple jersey though for you. So
That is a gorgeous jersey.
that's the way it works.
Yeah.
We pull it out. That's what you get.
What'd you get in fantasy this
You
week?
win some, you lose
I
some.
don't even know. I
I
can't
got
even tell you.
160 points.
That's pretty good.
Galena is
you
very
were
good at
only
this.
29 points behind.
Boom. I almost won a free.
Actually, only 17 points behind. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. All
What
right.
if I win? What happens?
You don't get a jersey.
Fair. Okay. Dan in Vancouver wants to say, hot take. Wondo's the greatest American player in history. He's an underdog. He's hardworking. He's so humble, and he never gave up. That is the plot of every feel-good movie in history. That's what it means to be an American soccer player. Landon and Clint were supremely talented. Their legacy is one of greatness, but also of potential unfulfilled. Wondo maxed out his potential to the nth degree. Is he the greatest American of all time? Tell me I'm wrong. Dan from Vancouver.
Dan, I don't want to get upset with you, and I don't want to raise my voice, but that is absurd. That is absolutely absurd. Just so you know, Clint Dempsey had to travel hours upon hours every week for training sessions, coming from Nacogdoches, Texas, middle of nowhere, to train and work, and he maximized his potential, and he went to the furthest places of the earth with the national team, and he performed in the English Premier League, and he performed in Europe, and he performed in 3 different World Cups with 4 goals total scored. You cannot tell me that he's not the greatest American player and doesn't embody what the American work ethic is and what an American means. He played with the utmost passion and pride for the national team, as most players do, but there's no questioning. There's no question.
I'm with you there. But what I do love is that Wando's getting his chance to shine, and he's getting his place in history, and one that he's earned and that he deserves as well. Can I also just say that if it wasn't Nacogdoches, I think it'd be less of a, like if it was just like Naperville, nobody's like,
maybe.
and he traveled 4 hours
like
from
Dallas.
Naperville.
Oh, he's from
it's
Dallas.
Like,
No, it's
when
Nacogdoches.
Man, that thing, that's great storytelling, period.
Eric in Westchester, PA wants to know, what's 4 goals? 3 goals in a game is a hat trick. This happens fairly regularly. Wondo scores 4, which is amazing, but what's that called? Looking through MLS records, it looks like Raul Diaz-Arce scored 4 twice, along with Mamadou Diallo, who also did it twice. However, Diaz-Arce did it first. Until someone does it 3 times, I say we call 4 goals scored in a game. And Arce, Wondo was 1 goal away from a
it's a ham bone.
Yeah, if you go with the Rob Stone.
Rob
it's the
Stone. I
handball,
know.
yeah.
We have to defer to Rob. Rob's a day
and if
one
it was
guy.
the Arce, it would be the Diaz-Arce, I think. I don't think it would just be the Arce.
That's
right?
fair.
I mean, you'd have to go Diaz-Arce.
No,
I like the
we're-
5 goals being a Mathis, although it should be a Clint.
Cletus.
Cletus.
A 5 goals is
Settled.
absolutely a Cletus.
Settled. Pound the gavel. 5 goals anywhere in the world is a Cletus.
Did I make up Golden Sombrero?
I want to say yes.
Okay, cool. Let's move on. Love the show, guys, but rationale for not talking about Vancouver is somewhat flawed since you talk about Red Bulls in New York so much, and they are similar in the standings to Vancouver. Just admit it. You don't like the Caps. I don't care either way. This is Paul from Portland. He says, "Roast City till I die."
He's definitely just trolling you right there. He heard that outburst from
Yeah.
you on Vancouver.
I'm fine with it.
And he's just bringing it back. He's just
How many of
he's
the
relighting
Vancouver
the
supporter
fire.
shields and conference finals from the last few years
Decent
are we
point.
referencing?
Decent point.
Should I keep going on the things we don't talk about? Hate to be this guy, but how is Philly not considered a winner from last week? Small budgets, historically mediocre, and low expectations for the season due to transition year, yet we keep
First of
winning
all, we don't
and have
grade on
found ourselves.
We don't grade on a curve here at Extra Time. So
Ooh.
take your small budget and low expectations away.
And by
the
Second
way-
of all, we definitely do grade on curve, but also,
sure. We have bias.
like Philly have been a winner of the week on this
week.
show pretty much every freaking
much
week
every
for
week.
the
Not
last
last
2
week.
months.
Not
We
last
didn't
week, and
do
I
them
literally said they should be in here. They're not because they've been here every single week.
I wanna,
Okay, let me break in here.
Emails like that make me want to take back every nice thing I said about
Well,
Philly.
let me break
during
in
the
here.
show.
Gary wants to know, actual question, what piece
Gary
of the team-
is Gary from Philly?
No, he's from Wilmington/Chester. what piece
Delaware.
would they actually have to add? He'd say right-sided wingback.
No, striker.
And right
they
place
Need, they need
striker.
somebody who's going to score 20 goals a game.
Yeah.
If they get
20 goals-
not 20 goals in a season, not 20.
If they
20
do
goals in a
that,
season.
that guy gets a named
Let's say
after.
Wondo's
Yes.
record is not going to last.
If they can get a lethal goal scorer who can create goals when he's not getting the best service, he can score from outside the box, inside the box. If they get somebody who can finish 20 goals in a season, that's when you're going to see the Union take that step and compete for an MLS Cup and probably win with that group of players they have.
So I guess we're saying Santos isn't that guy.
He is not that guy. I
so
can tell
far.
you right now.
Castor Shabilka looks better. Also, not
Doesn't
Not that
move
guy.
well enough.
Yeah,
Doesn't move
not
well
that
enough.
guy.
Might as well throw
Michael
Jack
Fabian
Elliott up
could
there.
help with this as well.
On the
Could help.
final one, just shout out Edward Vaughn because he says this is MLS is an American league, which it's not. It's an American and Canadian league. Try praising Americans, which I think we spent about 60% of the show talking about Chris Wondolowski.
I think we checked that one off.
So there you go, Edward.
Shout out to Wondo.
Yeah. Shout out to Wondo. Thanks to him for joining us today on what has been a big weekend for him. He celebrated it with takeout sushi.
Here's the
and
things
some
you
red
want:
wine.
sushi, red wine, and talking to us on the phone.
Exactly.
That sounds like a
Huge.
party.
Ushered in a new era of his life, did Chris Wondolowski. Edward Vaughn here was from YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, get in the comment section any questions, comments, takes that you have. We will bring them into the show. Also, 401-206-0MLS. Extra time at MLSsoccer.com
YouTube comments,
is the email.
God.
Oh, yes. I'm a brave soul. I'm one of the few brave souls that dig in there. But I'm there for you, YouTube, all right? We're going to get out of here. We'll be back on Thursday with Susanna Collins and Bobby Warshaw. We'll see you then. Enjoy your week, everybody.